Not long ago, few imagined Florida would become a rail leader. But Brightline has changed that with its Miami-Orlando service, proving trains can succeed in the Sunshine State. Just as important as speed, Brightline has invested heavily in safety. Now, the railroad has reached a clear new safety milestone, one that strengthens both passenger confidence and community protection. So, what exactly is this achievement, and why does it matter? Let's find out in today's episode of Great Trainspeed. Brightline is steadily reshaping how Floridians move between cities, offering a modern passenger rail service that connects Orlando and Miami. The operational figures reinforce this transformation. In August 2025, Brightline carried 252,425 riders, a 21% increase year over year, driven by a 15% jump in long-distance trips and a striking 34% surge in shorter-distance travel. Monthly revenue reached $16.9 million, up 20% from the same period in 2024. Ticket sales increased across the board, with a 22% rise in long-haul revenue and a 7% growth in shorter segments, while ancillary sales rose by 26%. Repeat customers remain the foundation of the service, accounting for 58% of long-distance ridership, while operational reliability stood at a strong 94% on-time performance throughout the month. Yet, alongside these achievements, Brightline carries a troubling reputation for safety. Since beginning operations in 2017, it has become the deadliest passenger rail service in the United States. Data from the Federal Railroad Administration records 149 fatalities and 278 collisions in just over 7 years, while independent counts suggest as many as 182 deaths, an average of nearly 2 per month, or 1 every 13 days. The fatality rate, at close to 25 deaths per million miles traveled, is unmatched elsewhere in American passenger rail. Reports and video evidence frequently show pedestrians, motorists, and even emergency vehicles attempting to cross the tracks ahead of high-speed trains, emphasizing the persistent risks in a densely populated corridor. Community opposition remains strongest in areas such as Vero Beach, where watchdog groups long warned of the hazards associated with operating higher-speed trains through urbanized environments. Their concerns now find validation in the statistics, pointing to the urgent challenge Brightline faces, balancing its role as a pioneering rail operator with the responsibility of delivering a safe and trusted system. As the company expands westward toward Tampa, addressing safety will be as critical as maintaining ridership growth and operational reliability in shaping the future of private passenger rail in the United States. And now, Brightline has just secured government support that could play a key role in addressing this serious challenge. So what exactly does this promotion mean, and how can it help solve the problem? Let's find out in the next part. And if you find this interesting, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any updates about the world of trains on our channel. Surprisingly, the Trump administration has released more than $42 million in federal rail safety grants to strengthen Florida's Brightline corridor, a move that Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy described as addressing unnecessary danger caused by delays in processing funds under the previous administration. The Federal Railroad Administration confirmed that 4 grants, first announced between 2022 and 2024, have finally been obligated, ending years of uncertainty and ensuring long-promised investments in safety are now moving forward. The declaration, "America is building again," of the FRA on X, reflects more than just construction. It marks a renewed national commitment to modernizing infrastructure. The U.S. Department of Transportation is obligating 4 grants that were initially awarded under President Joe Biden, but had not been finalized due to a backlog. The money will support upgrades to hundreds of rail crossings, new technology for detecting trespassers, additional safety gates, and enforcement efforts in high-risk areas. The 4 rail safety grants announced for Brightline's Florida corridor highlight a broad effort to strengthen protections for both passengers and communities. The largest, valued at $24.9 million and awarded in August 2022 to the Florida Department of Transportation, will fund improvements at 330 highway railroad crossings across 195 miles of track, including new fencing, crossing delineators, crisis signage, and other intrusion prevention measures. In September 2023, a $1.6 million grant was allocated for a trespassing identification and classification system designed to deliver real-time alerts and generate heat maps of trespassing and potential collision risks along the Florida East Coast Railway between Miami and Cocoa. A third grant, announced in June 2023 and worth $15.4 million, will enhance safety at 21 grade crossings with the installation of additional gates and delineators. Finally, in October 2024, up to $150,000 was awarded to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office to cover overtime costs for targeted enforcement at pedestrian trespassing hotspots. Collectively, these initiatives aim to reduce risk through a combination of fencing, grade crossing upgrades, and advanced trespassing detection technology, marking an important step forward in improving safety along the Brightline corridor. The scale of these projects highlights the significance of clearing what had become an unprecedented backlog of more than 3,200 grants left unobligated under the prior administration. By moving decisively to release these funds, the Department of Transportation has signaled its commitment to accelerating critical infrastructure improvements and restoring momentum to rail projects across the country. For Florida, the timing is particularly crucial as Brightline advances its long-term vision of extending service westward from Orlando to Tampa. The planned 320-mile Miami-Orlando-Tampa corridor represents a monumental leap forward for U.S. passenger rail, with trains expected to reach speeds of 150 miles per hour and cut Orlando-Tampa travel times to about 1 hour. Backed by $400 million in proposed private activity bonds, the project is forecast to carry as many as 650,000 passengers per month by 2026, setting a new benchmark for high-speed service in the United States. At the same time, the Federal Railroad Administration has unveiled a new direction for passenger rail that extends beyond the traditional Northeast Corridor. As part of $8.2 billion awarded to 10 projects nationwide, Florida secured a corridor identification and development grant worth up to $500,000 to study a new passenger rail link connecting Jacksonville, Orlando, and Miami. This early-stage planning effort will define scope, schedule, and cost estimates while also exploring possible connections between Orlando International Airport and Tampa. For Jacksonville, it marks the first formal step toward joining the National Passenger Rail Network and positions North Florida at the center of future expansion. As a rail fan or traveler, do you believe this support is truly necessary for the region, or will it end up as just another wasted effort by the FRA? Drop 1 if you think it's essential, or 0 if you disagree. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Brightline's latest safety funding announcement has sparked a mix of official praise, political criticism, and public debate. Brightline's Vice President of Operations commended Secretary Sean Duffy and the Trump administration for accelerating the release of long-delayed grants, highlighting the partnership with FDOT and local agencies like the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Secretary Duffy himself was blunt, framing the issue as a consequence of what he called the unprecedented Biden-Buttigieg backlog, which he argued left 3 million annual Brightline riders and surrounding communities exposed to unnecessary danger. He tied the funding release to a broader message that America is building again, positioning the administration as delivering safety improvements quickly across rail, roads, and bridges. Public reaction, however, has been divided. Some observers expressed relief and cautious approval, noting that even a broken clock is right twice a day, and acknowledging the Department of Transportation should be credited when it takes positive action. Others raised sharper concerns, pointing out that the underlying danger lies not in federal delays alone, but in the inherent risks of grade crossings, many of which sit directly beside intersections where vehicles often stop. Critics stress that collisions at such crossings are not simply the fault of driver behavior, but are, to a large extent, a structural inevitability in a corridor like the FECR, which has an unusually high number of crossings per mile. Meanwhile, Skeptics of federal support for Brightline argued that taxpayer money should not flow to a privately owned operator, suggesting that public funds are indirectly enriching Brightline's parent company, Fortress, while leaving systemic safety issues unresolved. Brightline stands at a pivotal moment. Strong ridership growth and new federal support demonstrate the potential of private passenger rail in the United States, but persistent safety concerns remain a defining challenge. How effectively these grants translate into real improvements on the ground will shape not only Brightline's future expansion to Tampa, but also public confidence in rail as a safe, modern alternative to highways. The coming years will reveal whether Florida's experiment in high-speed rail can truly balance progress with safety. That wraps up today's update. Thanks for riding along with us. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next journey. Until then, stay safe and keep your love for trains rolling.